The truth about Christian dating is a lot of you are doing it wrong. A lot of you want the world and then try to shove your faith through what you want out of the world, rather than chasing God and then letting your relationships flow to Him and through Him. The Word says we're in the world, but we're not supposed to be of the world. And so that's what we're going to talk about today on Quality, and that's starting now. What's up, quality people? Courtship. That is the truth about Christian dating. Wait, don't put that up against the title. Come on now. Nah, it's all good. It's all good. We'll let it rock. Hey, quality people, this is Quality Life Biblical Lifestyle Commentary. If you bout it, hello. But if you not, hey, we don't want to, be quality people alone. So make sure that you. For the algorithm. Quality People was created to encourage you to elevate your lifestyle by adopting biblical virtues. And so we are going to be diving into that, the last part of that article that we covered yesterday, the last 3 rules, and then we're really going to hone in on courtship and what that means as a believer. So let's get into it. You ready to go?
1 second.
1 second. All right. Hey, if you're here live, make sure that you stay tuned for after the topic, after the end screen rolls. We're going to do a little hangout for as long as I can before I have to go to my softball game. But you're not going to want to miss that because we're going to dive into our Bible verses of the day, kind of where our headspace is. And we're going to be answering any questions that you may have. So make sure you're leaving questions throughout the chat and as we prepare for that. So let's get into this article. We are on rule number 5 out of 7. So we're going to go through these last 3.
All right, I'll take it. I'll go first.
Go ahead, girl. Do your thing.
Christian dating rule number 5. Even while dating, a man can and should lead his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Biblically speaking, a man should always lead his wife, not simply because this reflects the complementary nature of the two, but also because it is simply practical to maintain the structure. And yet, when you're just getting to know each other or be in that new boyfriend-girlfriend stage, it can get tricky trying to know just how far a boyfriend can or should lead.
Hold up. All right, let's talk about that right here, because there's one thing that you always say to, just people, or that you've heard from people when you're talking about this issue. And that's actually our first question. So you want to read our first question?
Gotcha.
What is that you always say?
Is there a godly relationship that you would like your relationship to emulate?
No, actually, no. I forgot to change the question. So
does he make you want to submit?
Yeah, that was the question. So we'll get the. We're still working out the kinks. But yeah, does he make you want to submit? That's a big question, because does he make you feel safe? Does he make you feel provided for? And does he have a vision for where you're going?
Yeah, that's something I tell my single friends and like my sister and everything. Like when they're in relationships or they like somebody, I'm always like, does he make you want to submit to him? And they're like, nah. Or they'll be like, actually, yeah, that's kind of crazy. So
right now, and I think it's important to have self-awareness too about who you are and your temperament, because temperament's a big part of it. So if like you're a stronger-willed woman, right, you're not going to want to have a mild-tempered man. You're going to want a stronger-tempered like man to be able to be in that position to where you feel like, oh, okay, like he can really take the reins. And so the self-awareness is also key. And on the flip side of it too, as a man, you're not going to want to have, if you want to be in a leadership position, you're not going to want to choose a woman who is, very strong if you're more of a mild-tempered man. So having that self-awareness is crucial. Let's hop back into it.
So a good rule of thumb is to use marriage as a yardstick. While a boyfriend should not lead his girlfriend or potential partner to the level of a husband and wife, which is to say, he is not yet charged by God to lead, cover, provide, and protect, he can absolutely encourage her already present devotion and natural gifts.
That's
Level
facts.
up.
That's facts. All right. Now let's go into Christian dating rule number 6. Remain in a position for purity. Go ahead, can you?
Christian dating rules always seem to hit this one on the head with a range of edicts, so let's not issue any ultimatums here. Instead, let's understand the following. If the situation did not even present itself, what would be the case for talking about chastity or purity? None. In the song in the Song of Solomon, the desire to be physically close and intimate is inevitable and even beautiful. Here, Christian singles can turn to scripture once again for an idea of how to navigate through modern dating. Staying sexually pure during dating is common sense for those who hold a high regard of godliness. In the Song of Solomon 116 to 17, the couple removes themselves from all temptation by keeping themselves out of the situation to begin with.
That's beautiful right there. Because our second question is, does your partner love your spirit more than your body? And that's a very, very important question to ask yourself, is because if somebody true, like that's something that I often say to you, it's like, I love you to your spirit. And if somebody truly loves you to your spirit, then what what is best for you is always going to trump, their carnal feelings for you. And so it's like, yeah, we have these natural feelings, that of attraction, that I may want to jump your bones, but I know that that's not the best for you in this situation. Or I mean, and it doesn't have to always apply to sex, but keeping yourself out of, certain situations to where you're not sinning is very crucial. And you want somebody who's going to put that ahead of, their feelings or even your carnal feelings, and saying, hey, like if you're about to get wrapped up into sin, saying, hey, let's take a step back. You're probably just caught up in the moment really quick. But we're doing this thing in a greater purpose, and let's do the things that God intended and the intended way that he has designed for us to do it. So
Yeah, that makes me think of this one video that we watched where the guy was saying, think of sin as whether or not it's going to draw you closer to God or away from God.
yes, yeah,
So it's like you want someone where you guys can communicate, hey, this draws me away from God.
right.
So let's work together to do the opposite of
And
that.
that brings up something that's super important. You're gonna get a level up for that, because the other day you asked, like, hey, what makes you feel, far away from God? Because some people struggle with different things in different ways, right? And so some people might have to be more reserved in certain situations. Like we had the conversation about listening to secular music. Some people are like, no, I can't listen to it because I will just go back into that world, or it doesn't sit right with me. But some people have no problem listening to. I wouldn't recommend extreme songs for anybody who are just like totally the antithesis of what the biblical message preaches. But like some people don't have a problem listening to, things that aren't solely focused on the doctrine of Christianity, and they're fine with it. And so it's important to, understand your partner and where they're at with that, so that you can best navigate and help guide them along their walk with God as well. All right, let's continue.
Okay. Behold, you are beautiful, my beloved, truly delightful. Our couch is green. The beams of our house are cedar. Our rafters are pine. Instead of remaining indoors or in seclusion, the couple is outside, invisible to the public. For Christian singles, dating in groups or in public and not at hours where potentially bad situations could arise is the right, smart, and practical thing to do.
Amen.
I mean, and
That's good advice.
that's some solid advice. So
Yeah.
I mean, so far, and Elite Singles is actually a dating site, which I didn't realize when I just typed in something, and I was reading through the article, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And so we're about to get into our last rule, which is Christian dating rule number 7. It's cultivate the right desires, which kind of encompasses everything that we've been talking about the last 2 days. You only have to read the first 2 paragraphs, I believe. Yeah, 2 paragraphs.
Okay. Often, Christian dating rules don't take into account the desire to be married is not only real but very good. Coming together as man and wife is not only not sinful, but a direct expression of God's own covenant.
Amen.
The Creator has woven such a desire into our hearts so that we may act upon it. He's so everything. Okay. Modern dating means that you're not only trying to find someone who is equal to you in education, family background, personality, and income, but also someone whose faith complements your own and helps you grow it, ideally.
Perfect. No, I think that's good. And so our third question as it wraps up is, well, should everyone strive to get married? And I think that's an important question. So what is your answer to that?
I feel like I always answer first.
Well, I'll go first. I don't have a problem going first. My answer to that would be, first you need to seek out what it is that God actually has for you in your life, because for some people it may not be that you should get married, but that doesn't mean that you do things out of the will of God. Like for instance, like nuns or monks devote themselves to celibacy for a life of, complete devotion to, their practice of following the scriptures, and they have a certain lifestyle. And so if that is your calling, then follow that calling. But what's not going to happen is he's not going to say, don't get married, and then you can still be out here in the
Yeah,
streets.
no.
Like, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Hold up.
Yeah, hold the brakes. So first you need to do that, and then after that, then even if it's the case where you feel like you shouldn't get married, you still need the community of believers. So you still need to be involved in a church. You still need to be involved in community, because the community and that coming together of people is representative of, Christ coming for his bride. And so you need to be around like-minded believers who are helping you to walk in the faith, because that's the relationship that God has established. So even if you're not in a actual marriage, you're going to be married to Christ if you are a part of the church. And so I think that brings up the Bible verse that I wanted to get into.
Well, okay.
Go ahead. You can still.
Well, okay. So my thoughts that came up were, it makes me think of that one Bible verse where it's saying, if you're gonna be single and
Well, yeah,
glorify God,
right.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then if you have the desires to, be sexually impure, you might as well get married.
right. It's basically better to get married than to like burn in your lust.
Yes, that one. That's what made me think of.
Right, exactly. And so the Bible verse that I was alluding to was, husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. And so this is like the perfect relationship of, Christ and the bride being the church is supposed to be emblematic of the husband loving the wife. And so even if you're not getting married, you're going to be part of the bride married to Christ. And so you're still going to need to, walk in alignment with his will and follow the purpose that God has for you. Do you have any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I would say, should everyone strive to get married? I second what you said when it comes to figure out what your purpose is first. And if that leads you to wanting, I feel like if you have the desire to get married, then you should strive to get married.
There you go. But also do it in the right ways.
Of course.
Follow the rules that we just laid out in our last two videos. But that's what we have for you today, quality people. Hey, if you're tuned in live, make sure you stay tuned for the Hangout. We're going to be answering your questions. We're going to take a short break. But if you're not, before you go, make sure you...
A quality life.
Quality people.